Um, I married Anne in 1961. Here we are. I was in the Royal Air Force and my gorgeous wife was a speech therapist. And I had met her because when I rang up a young lady who played tennis with us at Royal Air Force High Wycombe, I got this voice at the other end occasionally, and I said, I want to meet the voice, please. And the day that we met the voice was lovely, because Baxter, who'd been at university with me, was driving. We went to the cinema, and Pauline, who I had known previously, before I met the voice, sat in the front of the car with Baxter, and I sat in the back of the car after the film with Anne, put my arm round Anne, and that was that. So we've been married ever since. That's 52 years. Anne had done work with handicapped adults for many years, and I loved it and worked closely with her with it. So it was rather a shock when we came to live in Eton, when in the first year that we were here, in the December, Anne was in the kitchen and talked to the girls and said something and then completely repeated the same thing again, looked at the girls and said in horror, heavens above, I have said that already once. You'll get very fed up with me. If I do that again, you won't want me. And they didn't even tell me to start with. They just let it ride, and these are my two girls out of my four children, and waited to see if anything else happened. Well, unfortunately it did. But we had the sense to get Anne diagnosed early, and Dr. Kumar and his team diagnosed that Anne had dementia, and we got her quickly onto Aricept. And early diagnosis is absolutely critical with dementia, because you then are slowing down and you are assisting the brain not to deteriorate at the same speed. But Anne creates relationships with people very easily. She's a mother of four gorgeous kids, and she is a lovely lady, pictured with her youngest one there, whose marriage we were invited to, of course, and who has married, whether you can see her or not, she has a full head of hair. Jen is on the picture of our golden wedding anniversary there. She has a brilliant personality anyway, so it's astonishing to watch her being moved in a hoist, because she can't move on her own anymore, and sit contentedly in a hoist without a word of complaint, because she trusts the staff. She knows that she's being looked after, and she'll let them do whatever they have to do something for her own good. So she is in some ways a more than average patient because of her lovely personality and her gentleness. So they love to have a bit of fun with her, and she will do the same with them. And when I go in each day, the first thing we do is establish who we are. So we have a hug, and we have a kiss, and we have a cuddle, and we remind each other that we love each other, and then we spend the time together. Anything she can do for herself is a bit more retaining sanity. And it is about retaining sanity, and you know, you can talk about all sorts of things. But if you let go to dementia, and you let dementia take over, it rules, and you are then subject to it, and subject to it without any influence on it. And people don't seem to understand that what you've got to do in life is take what influences you can and exercise them and be as positive you can. So If I go and see Anne, I don't go for less than an hour and a half. I'm quite happy if after an hour and a half she's tired, she wants to sleep, I leave. If I go and she's exhausted after 3/4 of an hour, and I really think she's not going to wake up again, which is most unusual, I don't, but at once a blue moon, I might leave then, but it would be only because I felt that Anne was not in a position to respond. And that would only happen if she'd lost sleep the night before. I revel in the support that the specialists give us and would recommend to anyone else that if they're going to look after someone with dementia, that they use the specialists, that they listen carefully to what's being recommended, and so that whereas Anne's had this routine with water for a year and it's still carrying on and she still loves doing it, we get the pleasure when the nurse assessor comes in and says Anne's hands are as good as any I have seen anywhere. And that's about the girls caring and loving Anne and giving her the help and the encouragement, and me learning from the girls what to do and keeping the same routine. Now I need to mention the girls because they are my angels. They come in as they used to when they came in and put Anne to bed. They have got that relationship which goes back years. And basically, when we sit by side Anne, they sit closer to Anne than I do and do the things with Anne that she wants to do, where she has the sensory feeling. And they are, of course, and I've only really begun to think about this in the last few days, they are wonderful parts of my life because they're loving people who care for Anne and who offer me their friendship and their support as well. And I can occasionally help them when they've got problems. Like I've been able to pass a wheelchair over to Carly, whose brother's got some difficult, unknown kind of cancer and needed a sensible, small, practical wheelchair. And there was one here which I could take for her. They don't think about it, love. Nobody thinks about it. It doesn't happen. They are so busy doing their job, looking after the home, keeping the home going. They are very conscious of the time that I put in. They're very conscious that I have a superb relationship with 95% of the staff. So if ever I want something done with Anne, like I work on Anne's shoulders, I have to get the staff to lift her up in the chair because she slides down to a special point in the chair and a special place, so that I can then kneel down in front of Anne, put my arms round her shoulders, get her arms round my neck and move her shoulders back and forth. And I do it because the physio and the OT in the hospital at Macclesfield said to me, if anything's going to go, Roger, it'll be her shoulders first. So they had sent me with this lovely routine, a return, which is a thing that you stand on to be moved to go into bed. But of course, Heliosa didn't even want it, so it stayed at Mount View. Heliosa had got its own methods and its own logic, hence they were getting these special shoes made for Anne and so forth, to avoid the heel sore. But I've no criticism of Heliosa. I just understand that institutions work the way that institutions work. And the matron is extremely glad of the support that I give. We are extremely lucky because we're a supportive and loving family. We are extremely lucky because I've still got a lovely wife who last week suddenly put her arm round my neck and told me she loved me. What more could you ask? Thank you.